Hello, this is Patrick, and welcome back to Transforming Awareness. The other day I promised you a video that would give you some tips for how to manage your feelings while we're all self-incarcerated during the coronavirus. And the thing about that is that, there's an understanding in NLP that the way that we respond to things, the way we feel about things, besides the very moment that we're experiencing them, past that moment, how you feel about anything has to do with how you represent what happened or how you represent what you're imagining in your head. And how we represent things internally has to do with images, sounds, and feelings. Well, when you start to play with the images, sounds, and feelings that are in your head that represent something that's bothering you, whether it's a fear or something that pisses you off or something that makes you anxious or angry or frustrated, when you start to change and play with the images, sounds, and feelings that represent that, then it begins to change the way you feel about it. And so today I'm going to guide you through a process of how to do it. So I'm going to be looking at notes here, and what I want you to do is just take a moment to tune into whatever negative emotions you're feeling as a consequence of everything that's going on. And that's probably in the front of your mind anyway, so just tune into that. And the first thing I want you to do is notice where in your body you're feeling the emotion, whether it's stress or anxiety or frustration, fear or anger, whatever it is. And as you tune into your body, you might sense something like a tightness or a heaviness or some other unpleasant sensation like a weight on your chest or a churning or whatever it may be. Wherever you feel that in your body, whether it's in your chest or your throat or in your gut, that's where you feel your emotion right now. So take a moment to notice just what it feels like. Is it a heaviness or a tightness or a weight sitting on you or something else? Just allow yourself to investigate it because you want to understand, and even though this is not pleasant at the moment, it will get better, and there is a reason for checking in like this. So just allow yourself to get that information right now, and then we're going to change it one step at a time. So now that you know how you're feeling and where you're feeling it, we're going to start to do some things to make it better. So take a brief moment to focus what shows up in your mind when you think about this thing that's causing you to feel this way. And what I want you to notice is, first of all, anything that you see. So you might get an image or a movie clip. It might be something you saw on TV or on your phone or the internet or a tablet or something. Just tune into whatever it is that you see in your head. And I want you to notice, is that image or movie or that clip in color or black and white? Then you can notice if you're inside of that, like it's happening all around you, or if it's more like you're watching a movie of yourself having that experience. If it's an image, notice how close or far away from you it is. Or if it's more like a movie, notice how close or far away from you the movie is. And whether it's an image or a movie, now just move it out away from you and notice how much better that feels. Or if it's like a movie that you're inside of, or an image you're inside of, try stepping out of it and notice how much better that feels. And now make that image or movie or whatever it is, turn it black and white. And there's two things that you can do with the light in the image that seem to help. For some people, it will feel less intense if they just start to dim it down. Dim the light down. Like some lights have a dimmer switch and you can turn it down. For other people, what actually works better is turning the brightness of the light all the way up. You can turn the brightness up so high that it starts to just white out all of the color until it's all you can see are just kind of like outlines of shapes. For some people, that's much better. Just notice which one works better for you. This is your mind, so you get to find out what works best for you in your mind. Now, the other thing that you can do is make it smaller. Smaller and smaller until it doesn't matter anymore. And for some people, making it smaller and moving it out in the distance are the same. For some people, those are two different things. For some people, if it's up close and they just make it small, that feels great. Other people like to think of just pushing it out into the distance. Either one of those things is a very powerful change. Some people will respond more to one than the other. So just notice how that is for you. And by the way, if you're having any trouble visualizing this thing that I'm describing, that's okay too, because you can still do those things with your intention. In other words, do those things by intending to do them. Just decide that you're doing those things I'm describing, even if you can't see it or you can't see it that well, or it's kind of fuzzy, or you just get little glimpses, because that works too, because your mind and your brain have a way of processing information and experience visually, even if you may be unconscious of that processing happening. So just by deciding to do these maneuvers that I'm describing, you're still telling your mind and your brain what you wanted to do. And this will change the way that you feel, or it will change the intensity of whatever you feel, regardless of how good or not good of a visualizer you are. All right. So now take a moment to just become aware of if there are any sounds in this thing which seems to be causing you to feel whatever these unpleasant emotions are. And those emotions are probably already fading or less intense now than they were when you started this exercise because of everything we did visually. Now, if there are any external sounds around you in this thing that you're working on or you're thinking about, they could be voices or music or any sound in the background or other sounds that might be there in that thing or as you imagine it, and just become aware of how loud or soft any of the sounds or voices are. And so the maneuver is to simply turn the volume down of any sounds or voices until it's quiet. And you can even try adding music in the background, whatever music might be appropriate. And it might be music that would be a match for what the thing is about, or it might just simply be music that's calm and peaceful. It even could be nature sounds, like the sound of ocean waves or a stream. As we're doing all this, you're learning how much control you actually have over your inner experience, and many people are surprised to discover that they have this much control. And by the way, every time you play with this, every time you listen to this or watch this and do these little exercises, it tends to get better and better. You're creating new neural pathways. You're teaching your brain and body how to work together in ways that they may not have known were possible before. All right. Now, if you still have any unpleasant feelings, imagine you could just turn the intensity of whatever you're feeling, that you could just turn it down like turning down the volume on a cell phone or a TV or an MP3 player. And you could also imagine your emotions as little particles or molecules of emotion that are moving in a certain way at a certain speed. And what's interesting is the direction they're moving in creates the kind of feeling. Like fear would be one direction, anger or frustration would be a different direction. And the speed of how fast the particles are moving controls how strong or weak the feeling is. The faster the speed of movement, the stronger the feeling. The slower the speed of movement, the softer or weaker the feeling will be. So as you tune in to the idea that whatever is left of any unpleasant emotions are really just molecules of emotion doing some kind of emotion, some kind of movement, then you can start to make these adjustments. So first, just slow down the movement of any motion you sense or even imagine. Gradually slow it down. And notice how much better that feels. In fact, that may be all you want or need to do because you already feel so much better. And if you need to or you want to, once you have the molecules moving much slower, go ahead and reverse the direction of however they're moving. So if they're moving from right to left across your body, switch the direction of moving from left to right, or change the direction of particles moving down to moving up, or from clockwise to counterclockwise. Changing the direction tends to change the kind of feeling. So an uncomfortable feeling tends to become more comfortable if it's the opposite direction. And finally, you can move the feelings down to different areas of the body. Like you can move the emotions down to your left foot or even your big toe. And from there, send them all the way into the ground. So these are all things you can do. These are all things you can play with. The more you play with it, the more you practice it, the better it gets, the easier it gets. You're starting to set up a new kind of communication, a new kind of dialogue between your brain and your body of how to be in charge of what you feel and how strongly you feel anything. So this can be one of the great tools that you use in the days to come. All right, take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye for now.